Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday, everybody. I am alive. Thank you guys, Amanda and James, for holding it down.
It was so hard. Like, we missed you so much, dude.
You guys did so good. So good. I have a little something special for the intro.
Okay.
So I'll see you guys in 30 seconds. If you watched my video earlier, it's from my video earlier. But anyways, see you guys in 30 seconds.
Let's go back to the beginning.
My name is Cody Brown, and you've got to meet my family. I'm a polygamist, but we're not the polygamists you think you know. I have 3 awesome wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine. My family's on the verge of a huge change because love should be multiplied, not divided.
Let the rain fall down.
And that, my friends, is how you beat a copyright.
There you go.
So good.
So far, I should say.
right. Don't talk them up because I'm sure they.
Someone from your chat, James, said this was a Kremlin-free zone, and I feel like I just invoked some shenanigans. So
Hillary Duff's people are coming. They're coming. They're gonna be watching.
That was even like Vivo or whatever the like YouTube official app is. It was like some random. But they had the whole thing. So
yeah, they won't let me do that. I can't play on that playground because they can be hard.
I know. I've been dancing with fire a little bit, and it's been kind of biting me in the butt here and there. But anyways, Laguna Beach, we're going all the way back to the beginning. HBO is HSO help a sister out?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
All right.
Thanks, Helen.
Hit those likes, hit those subscribes wherever you guys are coming in from.
Right.
All right. We are done with season 18. Officially. I know.
Not really. It lasted like forever.
It did. It was like, okay. We're ready for it to be done. But I am so excited to rewatch the series with you guys and with everybody because there is hindsight being 2020. It's like I am seeing things crystal clear. What did you think of the very first episode?
Amanda, go.
You're gonna put it on me.
Amanda.
What did I think of the first episode? I mean, it's like Lizzie McGuire said. The chat's calling you Lizzie McGuire, Sarah. I mean,
I have a Lizzie McGuire sweatshirt. I should have worn that.
Love it. I watched this like a year ago. I rewatched every season before 18 came out, and I remember being like, "Oh, Christine's been saying this from episode 1." So that really stands out. And there's a lot of contradictions. But I also, there's a lot of like very foretelling lines and moments from Mary, from not just from Christine. This time around, I noticed from Mary. Mary was saying some things. Cody, this time around, I noticed Cody mentions, Mary's the driving force behind us getting into polygamy. That's going to evolve into him blaming her. So many interesting things on a rewatch.
You know, I'm glad you went first, Amanda, because I will tell you, I did like last, I guess between season 17 and 18, I had not seen the previous seasons. So a lot of my first impressions were actually legitimately my first impressions. And I went through and I did kind of a recap or retrospective a little bit ago. And I have to tell you that after season 18 and listening to Cody talk between the tell-all of season 17, season 18, and him professing and proclaiming that he never loved these ladies and he always so angry with them, a lot of what I see just seems super fake now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just because at the time they're presenting it like this is the most amazing alternative relationship. It's so incredible. You could have a wife, and there was a time where when I was a very young man, well, young man's shoes, there was army recruiters, like the military recruiters, would show up to the school and they would try to get you involved. And they would sit there and tell you whatever it is you want to do in life. I want to be a mechanic. Oh, we got mechanics. We got all kinds of vehicles. I want to be a chef. Oh, we cook. I want to play music in a band. We know we have a band. And sometimes they break off and do shows and rock stuff. I want to be a rapper. Shaggy was a rapper. Like anything you want to do, it becomes that thing. And I felt the same way as I was watching them talk about, for ladies coming into this type of relationship. If you want to be professional, you could have a job and you can work all day and somebody will take care of your kids. If you want to be a mother, you could stay at home and be a housewife, like everything that you wanted to do. So knowing full well that they had problems from the beginning and they were having issues, it just made it so much clearer that Christine was trying to say, I don't want to do this. This is a bad idea. And nobody gave a damn what she was talking about. It's sad in a lot of ways, but I felt like they were openly trying to deceive the audience.
Yes. Cody starts out saying, I like marriage and I'm a repeat offender.
Right.
Almost like poking fun at the fact that he is now publicly committing a crime. Like the luxury, right?
right. Yeah, I did it.
Yeah, exactly. He says that he is a part of a faith that allows more marriages for good behavior. So if you're good with one wife, then logic would say you'll be good with two, and so on and so forth. Amanda, what does that say to you?
The setup of their religion, that they reward him with more wives.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very like messed up and fascinating. It seems, I mean, women are definitely, it's always been weird that like in their faith, the man gets rewarded the more women he takes on. It's like a very like, how many wives do you have? Well, how many wives do you? It seems like so crazy in this day and age that that's like a thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mind blowing.
Right.
And James, were we seeing good behavior? Like,
hell to the no. Hell no. Look, there's only one word that when you ask the question, realistically, that whole statement pretty much is summed up in one word: misogyny. Like it's just it's misogynistic throughout. Right? Get the choir going. Because the whole thing is just basically it feeds into that whole mindset, and this is where it gets kind of tricky because later on everybody's going to make the argument, oh, Cody's a different guy. When in the beginning he was a different man. No, he wasn't. He wasn't, because basically what he's saying is that I'm a good guy, and so therefore I deserve to have multiple wives. As good a guy as I am, I'm such an amazing man. Not only do I have 3 wives to start, but I need to be rewarded with a diesel G model because I'm an amazing dude. And that's that. Like I said, that's kind of the impetus of the entire lie of the show. And I'm going to be rewarded. Who the hell decides that? Like, is there a committee, like a group of guys that get together with like cloaks and like funny hats and then make the decision and start lighting candles? Like, when do you come to this decision?
I mean, some of these churches do have like a board that will like, I mean, they've mentioned stuff like that, right, Sarah?
Well, yeah, I think it's like the elders.
I know in like I don't know because I'm not Mormon, but in the mainstream Mormon church, there's like bishops and stuff. The church that I grew up in, there are elders, like church elders that are kind of like I don't know. They kind of moderate the service. They like pass the offering plates and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, my dad, he's a retired minister, and he had to answer to a board
Yeah.
They
yeah.
rode his ass sometimes too, so they
Right,
took
right.
that stuff seriously.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah.
Well, because you do hear about like just for the, and this is kind of the weird part about it too. Even in the darker side of some of these polygamous sects, you do hear about the guys getting together and orchestrating the unions of the older guys, the older men, not even guys. Let's call it what it is. These grown ass men with these young kids. So they'll get together and say, "Okay, Joe, you can bring in X amount of dollars, or it would benefit me to have you in the group. We'll promise you this girl and this girl to be your wives." They start hawking the wives off or these young girls off to these old ass dudes who they have no business even talking to. They shouldn't even be in a room together, much less married.
Well,
So-
I will say they didn't have to hawk Christine. Christine was like, no single men for me. I forgot she said that in the pilot. Like,
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
married men for Christine.
You know, in monogamy circles, we have a name for gals like you. Kristen.
She's the other woman in monogamy.
Right.
What
The
did you guys
homewrecker.
think of the house setup? So Christine was the whole bottom or the bottom right side. Janelle had the entire left side. So she was 2 stories, and then Mary had the top. And we know that this caused a lot of conflict, people traipsing through Mary's house.
Mhm.
Christine rather being literally the basement wife. Christine later on in the series will complain that Cody never showered at her house and things like that.
That's funny because he like emphasized showering at Christine's.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because the water pressure was low. Like, and this is kind of like I said, this is that army brochure because the way they said it, technically, the setup would be ideal. You know, for you all to be under one roof, and basically, it's like a big sleepover where you have everybody kind of in different segments of the house where they can have their privacy. You can have like your own privacy, but yet and still, we're still one big family. All you got to do is open up a door, and you're open to the whole family in a new world. So you have that. And then even with the structure of the house, as far as Mary being in the middle, there is a level of control for Mary because no matter what part of the house that Cody wants to go to, he has to walk through Mary's house. So there's always going to be a through line, and there's a sense of power dynamic there.
Good
You know, so
point. Robyn says, "Yay, I made it. My job gets in the way of my goals." That is a relatable struggle. Love watching all 3 of you. Great ideas to start from the beginning. Thank
All
you,
Sarah.
Robyn. Tanya, thank you. Kika Lika, always so supportive. 15 years ago, I was understanding if you're happy, then be happy. And Cody didn't seem so bad at first, but the women were obviously biting their tongues. I also didn't know about the religion all that much. It does seem like, especially Christine, was having to swallow a lot of her true feelings.
right.
Yeah, Christine's definitely like, because I watched this with my wife, and afterwards I was like, if that's what she's saying in the pilot episode, like she
Right?
must have been terrified of Robyn coming in because she's like very much vocalizing it over and over. She's like not really hiding it. But
Mhm.
besides Christine, since I mentioned watching it with my wife, she was like, oh, if I didn't know like what ends up happening with them, like, Cody sounds pretty earnest. Like she's like buying what they're all selling. And I think that's why the show ends up continuing because they're like pretty likable people. Like it's a pretty interesting, it's a good combo of like unique and interesting and like, oh, like normal, relatable people.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
The other thing I'm so enjoying is seeing the kids again and seeing especially like who we know the kids to be, seeing them in their young stages. Young Cody and Gwen are identical. They are
Right.
twins. I cannot get over it. Mary mentions here, and again, this is all the hard sell of their version of fundamental polygamy. She says that they're totally chill. They want their kids to choose their own paths, whether it's polygamy, whether it's no religion at all. Cut to like literally episodes later, we know this is coming. Robyn will flip out that the kids, when they move to, or I guess it's a couple seasons later, when the kids move to Vegas, Robyn flips out that the kids are going to a different denomination youth group.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's all these lies, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know, and the crazy part about that is it's a different denomination youth group. They're not transferring religions. They're not all of a sudden we're gonna repent, become Muslims or something. You know what I mean? We join the Hasidic Jews and we're gonna start wearing the hats and the curls. Like none of them did that. All he said was, I just want to hang out with different kids and have the opportunity to be able to experience other children who may not be of the same religion, but are of like religion. This is the equivalent of a Catholic hanging out with a Calvinist or a Baptist. Like, it's not that it's so far afield that from your religion. These are just kids. And the fact that she's so closed off about, we can't have that evil influence coming into our spaces. And then later on, she says that how open she is. When Leon came out, she all of a sudden, we have to be open to other people's experiences. They're so closed-minded. They're closed-minded. You're all closed-minded at that point. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's like, even with Cody in the house situation, he sits there and says, I'd love to do a bed check. Because I remember when you said Gwendolyn, she sat up and her hair was all crazy. And I was like, yeah, she got the gene. But it was that point where he was like, one of my most favorite things is to be able to go through every night and check on my kids and make sure that they're safe and secure and say goodnight to them. The funny part about it is later on, when Christine was complaining in season 17 that Cody wouldn't even go down and check and make sure his kids were in bed while she was at work. So that's a lie. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things. It's just like, now that we're finding out about it, not true, lie, bold-faced ass lie. But you know what I mean? Where it's just insane.
Yep.
Yeah, and the biggest lie of all of this that Cody backtracks on super recently is they sit and they say they want the kids to marry for love because, Cody, he married for love and it's all about love. This is just a big love fest, this family.
Yeah, Cody says, like, I wrote it down, I just fell in love. Like, he definitely, I believe in marrying for love. He's really reversed his opinion on how he was feeling back then. I mean, I'm sure he would say he was pretending. I mean, that's what he says now, like, it was an act. But, it's hard. Once you admit, like, I lied throughout a whole 13 years of a television show, I mean, you lose all credibility for anything you're saying now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it's like, were you lying? Are you lying now or were you lying then? And now I don't believe anything you're saying.
Yep.
Right. Well, the interesting part to me is just the fact that when you look at Cody and how he presents himself now, he's in such a defensive mode. And even from the beginning of the show, when I was doing the retrospective before, it occurred to me, because I was more familiar with a lot of what was happening. I went into the retrospective when I went back to the first episode, first season, like, this is a show about sister wives and how their lives are and how polygamy works. This is structured 100%, and I stand on this, 100% structured, where this is a love story between Cody and Robyn, and the show is about their marriage. Because if you look at the structure of how you put together a movie, you always introduce the problem, the conflict, or the issue first. Then you introduce the antagonist. And the way they set this up, they set it up so that Mary, Janelle, and Christine were supposed to be the antagonist. I think I got it backwards when I first said it. They're supposed to be the antagonist, the problems, the obstacles. And then Cody and Robyn are supposed to be the protagonists who are supposed to be able to navigate this. And I've said it from the beginning, and I say it now. The reason why this show turned out the way it did, the reason why they started to focus more on the OG3 is because of the fans and the viewers. The fans and the viewers were drawn more to the OG3 than they were to the person that they had made the hero. So they had to basically do a recasting. And they had to redirect a lot of the interest and a lot of the storylines towards these three women as opposed to just towards Robyn. Because the way they set her up, she's set up as like this wonderful angelic person who's coming into the family. And they have Christine saying how jealous she is, Mary saying how jealous she is, Christine saying how she doesn't really want her in the family and this could disrupt things. So they were presented as the obstacles. Let me know what you guys think.
No, I 100% agree with what you're saying because I have definitely caught a vibe this season, especially that it seems like Robyn and Cody are shifting their story to be kind of a us against them. Like I called them the star-crossed lovers of Flagstaff. They're Romeo and Juliet. They're just fighting the good fight, and their biggest crime was falling in love. And
right,
you can't fight true love. You know, it's not
right.
What do you think, Amanda?
I mean, yeah, that's such an interesting take. I've never thought of it before because when I think of them introducing the OGs and Robyn's just like a little tease at the end, I think, oh, they're really the heart of the show. But that's an interesting take, and a lot of the chat is agreeing with you. I can see it, especially with their honeymoon episode.
Mm-hmm.
It really does, like you say, like you described, they have to overcome the OGs, which, as Sarah said just now, they're going to really run with in later seasons.
Yeah.
And so it does seem like a very plausible explanation for like how they saw the show going early on.
Definitely.
Right. Well, I agree with Vixen and Bonnie and Clyde, not Romeo and Juliet. But I think that, like,
oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Just to tag on what you guys are saying, the ironic part about it is that, well, because in addition, Amanda, with the honeymoon, you also had the wedding, because the wedding was a huge celebration of these two, their love and their relationship. But it's just the push for them and their desire to try to get back to that. I think they're just trying to go back to the deal. What do you want out of it? I want the deal. I want us to be the heroes. How come you guys aren't running with that storyline? Let's get back to the deal. And that's why Cody has such a strong opinion about how much of this show he controls, what can be filmed, what can't be filmed, when they can film it, and why he thinks that he runs this show and this showrunner. I mean, unfortunately, like the reality of it is, fortunately, unfortunately, he can find out the hard way that, you're going to hit that star point where mess around and find out in a sec. And you can find out that you're going to be off this show. I think part of the reason why also he demanded to be on the wedding thing is that he's starting to realize if he can start telling which way the water's flowing, that if he's not a part of this, this is the beginning of the end. Because that damn wedding, that wedding special was TLC sampling whether a show with Christine and David would work. So he needed to be on that. I have to be on this. on this. I don't care what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was so obviously forced and awkward and uncomfortable to even have their opinions, really. But it was kind of interesting, I guess. Tanya, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really wanted to acknowledge this comment from Lisa. Women should not be regarded as a reward. I 100% agree. And not only that, so going off of Cody saying, in my religion, if they think you're good with one wife, you get to have more. What about children and how children factor and how it's seen as the more children you have, the more successful polygamous you are, and how that weighs on women, especially Mary, who experience fertility issues, and how that always was seen. Mary was in a less than position because she just literally, her body could not produce enough children to elevate her to an equal status. It's
Yeah, the whole system is messed up. You have so many trickle down effects of viewing women as commodities. As Lisa said, you've got the Marys who are just like, judged for something they have no control over. And it seems even now in season 18, it's like still somewhat of a cloud over a lot of the, at least in the show, on the narratives. Like we're still discussing this as a reason she doesn't get as much land on Coyote Pass. Then you've got the maybe women who end up having 5-6 kids who maybe don't really want it, but are pressured into it because of the system. You've got the Logans and the Aspens. They end up getting parentified because of the pressure for the women to succeed and do their job, do your job, have your kids. So then you have so many kids that the older kids are getting parentified. And then, both Logan and Aspen have chosen not to have children. There's so many, there's probably things that we can't even see. There's all these ripple down effects. It's just so many consequences from viewing women in this way.
Just human beings. If you view another human being as a commodity, then you are inherently, in my opinion, taking away their humanity. So if you do that to your children, if you do that to your spouse, if you do that to your parishioners or followers, like you're making them not human beings, you're making them things. And Cody, that has been especially these later seasons, season 17 and 18, when he's barking about loyalty, and it's all about how the state of his family makes him look. And that has been something that has been extremely disgusting to watch, is just the way his family members are viewed as things.
Yep.
Well, the ironic part about it too is that it just doesn't limit it to the ladies and the children, because Cody also complained later on when he was talking about Janelle, saying that, Janelle just looks at me as though I am a resource.
Oh,
the
true.
problem
true.
is
Yeah.
is that if this is the type of relationship that you have, where it's a transactional relationship, I'm going to come home. You have to give me a certain amount of children. You have to be able to accept I'm going to date these other women if I'm a good guy and I do the right thing and all this stuff. And you have to make sure the house is clean, the food is cooked, the clothes are washed, and all the womanly things that you're supposed to do for your role. Then his role is to take care of the family 100%. His role is to go out, earn money, earn a living so that he can come back and provide for this family that he created. So if you live, exist, and thrive in the system, you can't complain that this is the way things are supposed to go, because you were happy with your cut when you was robbing the bank. Now you don't like your cut. Now all of a sudden it's not fair. And I don't like how they're treating me. And I don't like the fact that they're looking at me like I'm a resource. They're coming to me demanding that I start giving them land, food, money, clothes, and a house and a place to stay. All of a sudden I don't like that. But you were fine with it when they were all living under the same roof, making sure that you were being happy, you were content, you were being comforted, and you had convenience. So there's that. It's not good for anybody. Psychologically, it's not good for anybody. Everybody in that situation is being used, and everybody in that situation is being demeaned. And imagine the idea that your value falls in how many children you can push out, or how much money you can bring home, or how you clean house. It's ridiculous. And this kind of falls into the whole polygamy propaganda program of TLC when you talk about sister wives. Let me crawl out my
No, they're saying amen in the chat. So
there was this interesting exchange, and I had to note it down, between Cody and Christine. So Peyton and Gwen, they both lose teeth in this episode. And Cody, because he's not there when it happens, he's recounting this to the camera during their interview. And he says it's the first time that they had two kids lose teeth in a 24-hour period. And Christine corrects him and says, no, it was like a 10-minute period. Cody comes back and says, yeah, like I said, 24 hours would have covered that. And Christine's like, not really. I just thought that was so indicative of a bigger issue in their relationship, of always needing to be correct or be like, all right. And we see with Cody when he corrects, like it wasn't an act, it was a performance. I saw someone comment that in the chat. It's like always needing to have the last word or something. I just found it so interesting. What did you guys think of that?
Well, I mean, who is the type of person who chooses to buy into the system at 20 years old? Probably somebody who wants to boost their ego by having people that, you know, in the system you're in, you know, they need to cater to him and they need to let him be right. And he is the man of the family and all of this. So, yeah, not surprised that even early on, he's, you know, correcting Christine. It's so funny that I didn't actually even notice that interaction. I noticed that moment and I went, wow, the show has changed so much. Like we get a segment on two kids losing their teeth.
Yeah.
Now we're getting segments on like, it's you're the one who broke up the family. And we're getting segments on, you know, he won't call his own children and who's you know, these super dark topics and storylines. And in the pilot, it's like, oh, Mary's pulling the kid's teeth. She's the one who pulls the teeth. It's like, it's so much lighter.
There must be something satisfactory for Mary in being able to pull out these kids' teeth. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, right.
Oh
The
no.
impromptu dentist. I'm the dentist.
That's gonna get the rumor mill going about Mary like being an evil dentist.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Kimberly says, I'm retired and poor, but I love you guys. Thank you, Kimberly. Just your support watching it all is so appreciative. Gina, back when I watched these early episodes, I actually loved Cody. And me too. I'm basically ashamed of the ignorant person I was back then. Misogyny is right. I said, boy, was I a dumbass in my video that I put out because I found him just so likable. Like him just bobbing about his house. He's always like going in the wrong door, doesn't know where he's at. Oh, I meant to go up and I went down. He walks into Christine. She's ironing and he's like, I'm not supposed to be here. And I was like, oh, this guy is hysterical. And it's to see all the, it's like, where's pointing out all the lies, all the discrepancies. It's almost like a game now. It's like, oh, that was a lie. Like you were saying, James, that was a lie.
Well, you know, the when you talk about like the argument or discussion about the two, here's my thought of it. Even initially when I first saw it, because like I said, I did the retrospective. When I saw that, it reminded me of when you're in the supermarket or you're out wherever in a department store or whatever. You see a parent with a child, and you can tell from the way that they interact with each other, they have very little to do with one another. But the parent wants to be the mom or dad of the century, so they're trying to act super cute. And even the kid's like, "What are you doing?" And the mom's like, "Come on, you're gonna do this, and it's so amazing." That's kind of what I had in mind with Cody. That Cody was trying to create a scenario or a situation where he was so close with these kids, and he understands intrinsically what's happening with them on a day-to-day basis because he's so involved. And Christine came back and said, "No, that's not true. Actually." What we're talking about is 10 minutes apart. And then he looks at her and says, whoa, you're trying to tell people that I don't know about my kids. And the fact of the matter is that you don't know about these kids. Yeah. You probably know more about Robyn's kids who you're on the road with for 5 hours. Like, we can talk about that too. The fact that, you know, he's hatting up and he's driving 5 hours. And so you ask the question as to why Christine is looking upset. She's full on pregnant. she's like, she's not a little pregnant, you know, as they used to say. I'm a little pregnant. She's full on like baby. Forget a baby bump. She got a baby hump. Pregnant. You know what I mean? She's supersized pregnant. Like she's ready to blow. And this dude is talking like he's running out the door. Okay, see you later. Get out of here. Bye. And he's taking off down the street. Drive 5 hours away. Yeah. You know, he's speed racing over to Robyn's house so he can sit up there and play shot basketball boy. Like, it's insane. So, I understand why Christine was not happy. I get it. I'm surprised. Like I said, I'm surprised they didn't flip out earlier on this show.
True. Even polygamous women would be insecure about their husband dating when you're ready to give birth. Yes, I agree 100%. You are at your worst, self-esteem wise. It's heartless. That is actually goes right along with what you were just saying, James. It's and Kikalika says again, this setup is destined to fail.
Right.
It doesn't seem like a tenable situation. It's especially what I was noticing really when I was watching this episode is that for better or for worse, this family had settled into a routine that was functional. Maybe they weren't all happy, but they were functional. The kids, which should have always been the most important aspect of this, were happy.
Right.
And then Cody hits his midlife crisis, it seems.
I mean, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Some people I know were into him at the beginning, but and I'm a Pandemic fan. When I'm watching this the first time, and it gets worse with every rewatch, it just always to me looks like a guy who hits a midlife crisis and is like, oh, I want to go out and get a younger, newer woman to bang and to have a relationship with and to date and act like a teenager with, literally while my wife is pregnant back at home. And that's what I'm going to spend my time doing. That's what it looks like to me. And when he describes his dad doing it, I'm like, oh, that just sounds like your dad had a midlife crisis and decided, oh, you know what? I'd like to have another lady in my bed besides the one I've had for 20 years or whatever. And he went, and it's like, I know that's like some people might be offended, especially people in their religion, but like, it always just looks like that to me. That's what it always feels like.
I mean, in these two specific examples, that's kind of exactly what happened. Like Cody's dad wasn't a polygamist and then converts to become a polygamist. That I don't know how many converts to the AUB they're getting or to fundamental polygamy, but it seems like a lot of times you're kind of born and raised in a religion like this. So that's interesting. And then, Cody kind of is like trying to be super like earnest polygamist there in the beginning, marries 3 women, pops out a bunch of kids, and then they're kind of just, putting along. And then he decides, well, oh wait, I'm a polygamist. I could take another wife if I wanted to, or, mess around if I wanted to and call it taking another wife. And that's exactly what he did.
Right. Well, because there's also that weird part where they had the guys, we're going to bring in another person. What do you think about that? Remember Robyn? Yeah. And the idea of it is insulting. Because this guy is literally taking off for weekends at a time. Every weekend he's off out of the house and over to Robyn's house. And it's insulting because these kids apparently didn't realize that their dad was gone for 3 days out the 7-day week. And all of a sudden he's coming back like, oh yeah, remember Robyn? Oh, you mean the woman that you've been dating for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and the kids are having to endure that. And I think that in tandem to what you had said earlier, Sarah, with regard to them existing in this being functional, not necessarily healthy, but a functional relationship. Had they continued along the same path, there is a possibility that the kids would have been more likely to been indoctrinated into this lifestyle, because this is just the way that it's always been. And this is the way it's, this is how life works. And this is what you can expect out of life. And this is what I should look forward to doing. So I think that if they stayed in this lifestyle, had Robyn not come in, blessing in disguise sometimes, had Robyn not come into the family, they would have stayed in this type of relationship. And the kids most likely would have been in the situation where they would have sought these types of relationships. But with them realizing that their moms are getting screwed over by the new chick, and at any moment, you might be replaced. Because that's essentially what Robyn did. She came in and replaced everybody. And she replaced the wives. And it's, again, that kind of falls back to the idea of it being a transactional relationship. Because you can, in a transactional relationship where I don't value you as an individual, I can swap you out for another one. I can switch you out for the new one. You know what I mean? Oh, got somebody in their dirty 30s? Yeah, you're gone. You know what I mean? You got 6 kids. This one only has 3. Yeah, you're going. You know, former diesel Gene model. So,
Did you see Lane Howe in the chat said one of the kids explained that scene, or sorry, maybe it's Ian, that scene was fake for TV. The kids already knew she was marrying Cody. Have either of you heard this before?
I have not. Here. I had not, but that actually makes sense because we know that come season 18, Janelle reveals that the kids were sat down, told to shut up. They had to accept this. Robyn was going to be like, your new stepmom or your new mom. So that actually makes complete sense.
And it looks fake to me. It also looks like, okay, are they really going to voice their concern in front of the cameras when Cody's like, oh, are you okay with this? And a lot of them are like,
Leon tried.
Yeah, Leon tried the most. Yeah.
They were the most vocal. Everyone else kind of was like, a lot of them were just way too young to even like grasp. Christine is sitting there saying to Gwen, and Robyn's not part of the inner circle yet, or whatever she said. And Gwen's like, oh, okay, because Gwen's 8 or something when this is going on.
Well, in addition, I think that like if you look at Christine's face as they were talking about it, and he was introducing an idea and talking her up, and you remember how awesome she was and how much fun you had. Christine looked like something just like her puppy just got hit by a truck. Like she was wiped out. She was wiped out. You can see she was feeling it. And we also have to keep in mind that that scene would have taken place after Cody was supposedly sitting on her bed, openly weeping because he could not spend time with Robyn. And he was so sad that they were separated. And I have to spend my time with you. You know what I mean? And of course, every pregnant woman wants to hear that. I don't understand what the problem is. Every woman wants to hear how I'm crying because I have to waste my time spending it with you when I should be over there with hot takes. Like that's, I
always tell this story. When I was pregnant with my daughter, there was some sort of event. And you know how you can go to the grocery store and buy those, like, I call them adult Lunchables. They're like, they're not the classy charcuterie board. It's literally like a big adult size Lunchable of like crackers and cheese and turkey slices. So we got one of those, and I was munching on the cheese and crackers, and I put it in the refrigerator, and I was so looking forward to eating them the next day. You don't have a lot of thrills in life when you're pregnant. And so I was very much looking forward to it. I come and I go into the fridge and it's gone. And it's like a knife to the kidney. I don't think I've ever been more mad at my husband for throwing away. And I talk about this is almost 5 years later, and I still talk about it. And he's like, first of all, you shouldn't be eating deli meat. Second of all, you should be like, it's old and I wasn't sure, like, whatever, like it's leftovers. And I'm like, oh my God, I am going to.
Right. And the whole time he's got crackers on his shirt.
Exactly. So I can only imagine. I'm just like harnessing the rage I felt when he threw away my big kid Lunchable. And to imagine him like going on a date 5 hours away. You're out of your mind.
And that's the thing. And he went away 5 hours away, gets in his car, drives 5, which is ridiculous. Like, no man is driving 5 hours to hold somebody's hand and drink hot cocoa. I'm just saying. So some things are going on.
Yeah.
And then he comes back after he spends the entire weekend. You can't get 2 days back to back. She's got a whole weekend every weekend. And he's gone. He's gone. Then he comes back. And the first thing he does is sit on your bed and cry and say how much he needs more time with her. Are you insane? Like, are you insane? Like, there's no way that conversation is going to go good. Like, if you mapped it out, there's no possibility where that's going. Oh yeah, Christine's going to walk away happy and content with this whole conversation. She's going to lose her mind, and that's why I think she was so upset. But that's part of the lie of the storyline where they sit there and pretend like, oh, we're introducing Robyn. You can see us introduce Robyn to the family where she's been a part of the family. And not only has she been a part of the family, but she's been tearing this family apart. Because one of the things that Robyn has said from the last season on, from like season 16, 15, 16 on, is that I always wanted the family and I wanted the family together. If you really wanted the family, lady, then when he can't brought his ass out there 5 hours, you should have looked him in the face and said, you need to turn your ass around, go home and be with your pregnant wife so that we can make sure that this child is brought into the world safely and securely, and then I'll catch up with you. That's what should have happened if she was that serious.
Standing ovation to that, yes. Oh, and just scrapping asked in the chat if we got their super, and we did. Thank you so much.
Oh yes, let's catch up on some of those. Kelly, thank you so much. Kim says, love watching you three together. Awesome team. The OG3. The new OG3. Just scrapping. Thank you very much. That's so generous.
Oh, wow.
Gail says, thanks for the great content. I'm glad you think it's great.
Right.
Kika Lika, thank you so much for your support. Robyn, it's toxic, yes, but this would have happened with whoever Cody married because a young wife gives him delusion. The OG are empty nesters. He can be young forever with Robyn and the chicken tenders. What do you think of that, Amanda?
I was just thinking, like, oh, that's an interesting question because so often these days he frames it as I found my soulmate in Robyn. He stole that from Christine. You know, I tend to agree. I've never thought about it before, but especially since he still seemed butthurt at Christine for ruining that one relationship, putting the kibosh on some other lady, I guess he wanted. I think he would have taken, first of all, he wasn't going to marry like a 49-year-old or like a 53-year-old lady. I think it was always going to be somebody Robyn's age or younger. And I tend to agree that he would have equal enthusiasm, like no matter who it was.
Right.
And here's the thing. I think I agree with how Cody would have behaved, but I think things would have been different had the woman been more about the family and less Robyn's personality. Like if there was a hot 30-year-old 5 hours away and Cody's driving and she said, turn your ass around, go home and be a family man. That is who I want to marry, is a family man. Then I would be interested to see how Cody would have responded to that. Because we've heard of a few failed courtships that didn't work out. And Cody essentially blames Christine for the one. I'd be interested, like, would Cody have still pursued a Robyn if they did require more of him?
Yeah, maybe like it was always destined to be somebody similar to Robyn because somebody else would have been like, no, you're pregnant. This is, maybe they would have sensed Christine's hesitant. Maybe they would have cared more about the teenagers. The teenagers definitely seem hesitant in this opening episode. So I think that's a good point. I think it was always destined to be somebody a little bit self-centered to maximum self-centered. And Cody was always destined to sort of like obsess over them.
Right. Well, because I have a feeling that with, if you go back into the whole idea of this being rooted or foundationally misogynistic, Robyn in and of herself is a trophy. So she's the prize because she was the former jeans model. She had a certain level of attraction. And so when Cody puts her on his arm and he walks into a room and says, this is my wife, he has a certain level of increased level because he has a hot young wife. And because he may desire that, she would have the ability, I think she would have the ability to shape charge him in a way to force him to be the things that she wants him to be so that he could maintain this, this lovely trophy. He wants, I got the lovely trophy. He wants to be able to maintain that. And so when you look at like how she could have changed him a little differently. She could have elevated him and kind of pushed him to do the right thing. And I think that she could have done that, but again, I can see where Amanda's coming from. That in order for you to exist in this world, you have to have a little bit of a me attitude in order for you to be able to get past the initial jealousy and envy that's going to be present. But I've always held the position that in order for this relationship to work, which I don't think it can work, I think it's very difficult, if not impossible. But in order for it to work and be healthy, each one of the ladies has to feel a sense of security moving in these spaces. They have to feel like they're valuable and they're irreplaceable. And you, as the man who is standing here with 3 wives, 2, 3, 4 wives, you have to make them feel like I can't make moves without you. You're important. If we have to sit here and talk about it, things come up. The other wives are on your team because you're all united. You're all friends. You're all on the same level, and you can comfort one another, and you're looking out for one another. And that's one of the things. And we're operating as a unit. But Cody, the way he's always set this family up, he's always set them diametrically opposed to one another. So there's no way. I don't think he could add a woman who was about the unity and about the unit, because it would go against the culture that Cody has set up for his wives previously. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the trick. Like, it's the way he set his family up that I think led to the whole downfall of the whole thing. Like, it was shaky to begin with, because they were very, like, everybody was pretty much looking out for themselves and how they, what they could get from the situation and how they could have their needs met. They worked together better because of survival. They had to survive. But at the same time, that Cody didn't want them working. Because then it would have been 3 of them against him. And he, three decisions talking about, hey, ladies, they selling a Lexus convertible. We got 13 kids, Cody.
Right. How he got that over on Janelle, the pragmatic financier of the family, I'm baffled.
Right.
Yeah. Why did she approve that
for the Lexus? Because
who's like, you have to be absolutely insane. I watched the episode with my wife, and when we came out, I was like griping about, I was like, I can't believe Cody, kissed Robyn or whatever I said. And she was like, you know what? Nothing made me more angry than seeing that car. When they showed him in that car, that was what she remembered the most out of the episode, was this somebody with 13 kids. And you have
shoving his backpack in the back seat, and it would hardly fit. But you couldn't even fit a couple kids back there.
Well, I can tell you, in my perspective, this is how he sold it to these ladies. Ladies, that I am a salesman and I have to represent a certain status when I walk in with a client. And this car will help to elevate me so that they value my opinion and know I'm successful. And they're more likely to sign up for whatever. Like, I think he was selling billboards at the time. They're more willing to get the billboards on I-80 if I have a nice car and I can take them out for customer relations, like, take them to the strip club, I guess, or go to the bar or whatever. We got the Lexus whipping in it, got the hair whipping through, air whipping through your hair. I can do that, and that will help me get an advantage, and we can make more money, and I can take care of the family better. Ta-da! And then all of a sudden, okay, yeah, I guess it's a good idea. Still a horrible idea.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Mary Kay and Pink.
Keisha says, all of them were lying to themselves. And what do you do if you betray yourself? If you look into their eyes, no one looks happy but Robyn.
And Cody.
Yeah.
And
Robyn and Cody.
He looks happy when he's with Robyn.
Yep. Living an eclectic life is huge personality change. Either he was acting then or there is something going on now.
I mean, he was definitely acting a lot. He was putting a show on.
He was definitely putting on, for sure. Sandy with a generous super chat. I just wanted to say thanks for being so entertaining and thoughtful. I started watching Sister Wives out of curiosity and stopped watching because the suffering stressed me out. It can get very stressful. Grateful to get the tea from 3 smart and funny people. Thank you so much, Sandy.
Thank you.
I will say the Christmas fight with Janelle gave me like secondhand anxiety. I have plenty of anxiety. And I was like, I don't need to add this to my plate right now.
Yeah, there's a line in reality TV, like a fine line to walk between like, okay, it's stressing me out, and like, oh, this is like just good enough to be like really entertaining. And Sister Wives like flirts with that line a lot and sometimes crosses it.
Speaking
Right,
of someone
right.
who's real stressed out, can we talk about Daddy Logan for a minute? Because we got the morning routine. When I was in high school, if I would get I was a morning shower in high school. I basically showered, threw my hair back in a messy bun, maybe ate breakfast. I don't even know. And this kid is like whipping up. He is like Denny's open for business, breakfast burritos, getting everyone out the door. I made a note that even when the adults are in a scene with Logan in this episode, I feel like Logan is the one in charge.
He tells Cody, like, nope, we're not doing the trees. We're done for the day or whatever. He definitely runs that house.
Who knew
Right.
cutting down trees was a day one staple in this show?
Yeah. He's the killer of everything outside.
Always
Like that's
be chopping trees. That's the Sister
Right.
Wives motto.
And the whole thing was like they hadn't even cleared the first tree they had knocked down. You know, they're still working, they're still raking little little Gabriel, I'm dying.
So funny.
That routine he did was hilarious.
Yeah, right. Gabriel was a cute kid. Like all of them really, like all of them were cute kids.
Yeah.
You know, very entertaining. Like, and it's heartbreaking to know where they wind up. It's it's messed up. But they were out there cleaning up a tree you had already knocked down, picking up the branches and stuff. He's already talking about knocking down 3 or 4 more trees, which is indicative of where Cody is. Always biting off more than he can chew. So you're on tree 2, 3, and 4, and you haven't even taken care of tree 1 yet. You got wife 2, 3, and now 4, and you haven't even secured your first wife yet. Your first wife is still sitting around asking questions about whether she belongs in this relationship and whether she has security in this relationship, and still talking about jealousy. There's no way in the world you should be trying to move or expand your family and you have that kind of deficit. You would have to make sure that she's secure and that she's okay with you having these additional relationships. And again, that's to me, that's the rot that happened within the Brown family, which led to seasons 16, 17, and 18. You know, so it's very fortunate. Oh, and Logan, I didn't like the idea that you talk about Logan having all these responsibilities, and Christine and Janelle had said something about Logan, and Cody went to correct them and said, no, he just takes a lot of responsibility. But these are responsibilities that he shouldn't have because he didn't volunteer to have all these kids. You know, and it's unfortunate.
We see Janelle can't talk enough in this episode about how she just basically runs out the door, can't wait to get to work, would way rather be outside than doing anything about the kids inside. And it's like, okay, Janelle,
It's so over the top. I mean,
you're like, selling it real hard.
Like, oh, thank God I have Christine. Otherwise, I just, I mean, they're great kids. I just don't want to ever be with them. It's like, Janelle, there's other options.
Just don't make me like raise the kids.
Why does Janelle love this religion? Like, she doesn't want anything to do with being like near Cody, near the kids. She just wants to work. Why isn't she on Wall Street or something?
That's so funny, Amanda, because there was this one scene where they're talking about, because of course, the big propaganda sell. This is the first episode after all, about how fantastic it is when Cody is away because they have time to do all the things that they wouldn't have time to do. And the only person that I actually believed that to be true about was Janelle. That Janelle actually enjoyed when Cody wasn't there.
And we also have Christine in episode 1 talking about how she wants more dates with Cody. Her story has never changed.
Right.
Since episode 1, she needs more time with Cody. She was always like worried. She just wants to be the last wife, the last and third wife. A little delusional there with like, oh, all you have to do is be the third wife and your life will be perfect.
That's true. You know, when James is talking about strategy, right? Even Christine, who wants the family, doesn't want the man. She had a strategy for where she would fall and which number would be most opportune for her to be. She didn't want to be the wedge. She didn't want to be the first. She wanted to be the third. And I firmly believe a lot of people have commented that Christine, one of her biggest gripes and the reason why she didn't get along with Robyn is because Christine thought she would be the last. And I do believe that.
Yeah, because I think in her mind, especially the way she described the role of the third wife, is that the third wife is supposed to be the cat, the end all, and the person who perfects the family. And that's how she really describes it. The first wife, she's going to feel betrayed because he's going to get a second wife. The second wife is going to cause turmoil and discord in the relationship because everybody's going to be jealous. And then you get the third wife. The third wife calms everything down and they can move together as a family unit and things will be perfect. And they probably, there's a good chance that they were better for Christine and Janelle. I think Mary was still struggling by this time. But things were better for them with Cody. But once Cody got his teeth sunk into that new stuff, it was a wrap for the whole family. Like everybody else was pretty much wrapped up because all his focus was placed on trying to maintain that relationship. And there was also something that was brought up, and I guess we'll talk about it more in episode 2, where I forget the Senior Perspective, I think is the show or the channel. But she had talked about something that I'd never really considered. How did Robyn get that big ass house with $30,000 of debt? Like she had $30,000 secure of Victoria's Secret debt. She was working a job, but she had basically a 4-bedroom house. Because remember, they showed her bedroom, they showed Brianna's, I think they showed Dayton's, and they didn't show Aurora's bedroom. So she had a 4-bedroom house by herself that I suspect that Cody and the family were paying for. Then they moved her around the corner because she didn't want to share a house with Janelle, because Janelle had offered her part of that house. So it's a lot of, like, it's just, you know, in the Navy, you can get everything you want. And that's, you know, Janelle could go to work and make all kinds of money and have a great life. Christine, she could be the mother and stay at home and take care of the kids, because they didn't talk about Christine having a job and having to work too. And then Mary was able to do her own thing and take care of her kid the way she wanted to. And they tried to make it sound like it was awesome when it was not awesome.
Nope. Audrey says, ours new name, Robyn Blind. She can keep initials.
Robyn Blind.
Deborah, Mary says, was he lying then or is he lying now? That is, I guess that's going to have to be what we suss out in season 19. We're going to have to determine what we think. Lisa, really love this idea. You guys are so fun to watch. Thank you. It's fun to be here. It was a bummer last week being sick, and sick for longer than I expected. It was a bummer. Arg, hot cocoa and chimichangas. Robyn is a lucky lady. What did you think of that that dinner?
The date that he goes on with Robyn?
Yeah, I guess we're gonna see more of that.
Yeah, that's in like episode 2, isn't it?
Episode 2, but yeah, it's hot chocolate and Mexican food.
Yeah, they did like the trailer, the teaser trailer of like things to come, and they're sitting there all in love and gushing over each other. And I will say this: I could see the desire in Cody when he sits there and talks to Robyn. And there was one point where Robyn came out, and we'll see it in episode 2, where Robyn comes out and she's greeting everybody, and Cody's sitting in the chair. He's staring cleaning up behind. Like, it was insane. Like he's not trying to hide nothing at this point. That's why I say there's no way that this dude is driving 5 hours to look at paint her toenails. Like, it's just not happening. So, but even in addition to that, like when we talk about, like I said, with Logan and the kids and their response to Robyn, I understand where they're coming from, because what they didn't talk about in the show either, in the premiere or even throughout the rest of the series, is how they had food insecurities and how they had a lot of financial insecurities going into the show. And then for Cody to sit there and look these kids in the face, stone face, and say, yeah, guess what, guys? We're going to add 4 more people to a family that's already struggling. Surely nothing will go wrong. And these kids are dealing with that reality. And when we talk about, like, even with Logan and Hunter and their response to, like, adding Solomon to the family later on, and they're not being excited about it, I think that's why they're not excited about it. Why do you have to convince them that bringing in Robyn and her kids is a good idea, and whether they like it or not, they have to stuff it down? Is because they suffered under this current institution that you guys call polygamy.
Yeah.
And so they know what it's about. They probably know better than Robyn and Cody and even the wives, because you know Cody's going out getting dinner or lunch, you know, because he's got clients.
Kids know, and I grew up my early childhood. We were not well off. We were like struggling. Like, kids know when you're poor, and I totally sometimes would like judge my dad if I thought he was like getting too many snacks, which now as an adult, like that was wrong of me as a kid. Like, it was his money, but I am 100% positive those kids knew that they were struggling financially and absolutely had some thoughts about bringing somebody with 4, including Robyn, mouths to feed later. 6. I am sure they were like, wait, so I don't get new shoes, and I'm sure there were things they needed they didn't get. And, you know, we go to McDonald's once every 2 years, and that's our big thing. But you're going out on dates with this new young, like, I am sure they had like thoughts about that.
Right. And even with the idea of, like, you talk about jealousy. Jealousy just doesn't affect the wives. Jealousy affects the kids as well. And they're sitting there sharing rooms with their siblings, like especially in Janelle and Christine's house, because they have so many kids. They're sharing rooms with their siblings. And then Robyn comes in, and we're paying for her to have her own rental because she doesn't feel comfortable staying with the family. And all her kids have individual rooms. And then you have the older kids. What older sibling doesn't feel like they should have their own room if their younger siblings have their own room? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? If you don't understand it, you just don't, either you're an only child or you don't understand, like, interpersonal dynamics of dealing with siblings. Like, there's no way I would sit there with my younger brother and be like, yeah, I'm going to share a room. I'm going to have the small room and you get the big ass. No, brother. I've been here longer.
You know, I have sacrificed their own room, Logan.
Right.
JLP says, thanks for the great content. Thank you. This is so much fun. Love you guys. I want to poke K and R in the eyeball.
Lisa, I love your cat. Lisa. What a cute cat picture. That was so cute.
Oh, sorry, I scrolled by that too fast. Can we give Amanda love for 30K subs? Also hit the like and subscribe to James, because he is coming up on that 30K too.
Let's get him there.
Yep. Thank you so much, Eagle. And Sarah, name twin. You are so right. The OG3 should have unionized. That's an idea.
Could you imagine?
Yeah. You don't have to love your wife to just not be a shit person. Truer words have never been spoken. Right. Cody has never needed to dog the OG3 so publicly like he has. Kika Lika, that is such a good point. And he says too in season 18, I did my best to be loving even though I wasn't in love. But it's like, yeah, the nacho, none of us would be talking about nachos because none of us would know about that. It's such an unnecessary story to tell unless he brought it up. And the only reason why, and he, not only did he bring that up like in passing in an interview or something, he immortalized that in their book so that it is there on the written page forever.
No, I can like picture the nacho thing. They're like at a gas station or whatever. Like he made it so vivid. It's become like one of the main things of the community that we talk about, because and he put that out there because he wasn't acting nice or kind or faking it or performing. If that was his performance, like, tomatoes should be thrown at him.
Yeah, there's a
Right.
way to not be in love without being an asshole, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, because I have 2 points to that. First point, when Cody talks about like the whole nacho thing, I think that was his way of trying to separate himself from somebody who he viewed as beneath him. Because he's that guy who all of a sudden he kind of gets lucky one day and he dates somebody who is technically out of his class, or I forget how they say it, like out of your category or whatever, out of his league, out of his league. So he's dating Robyn, who he thinks is out of his league. Then he adjusts himself to think, hey, you know what? I have a hot wife. I'm a hot guy. We're a great looking couple. So this is the type of woman I should be dating. And I shouldn't be dating these other types of women. So that's a way for him to create separation between him and these other women. That's the first thing. The second thing, when I heard that story, the first thing I thought is, bro, you took this lady on a date a road trip date, where you took her out of the state and you driving in a car for hours with this young lady. She's cool enough to be on this date with your monkey butt, get out of the car, go into this convenience store, not only get herself something, but ask you if you want some, take money out of her pocket, her purse, her dime, her dollar, and buy herself something to eat and sit in the passenger seat and ask you, do you want some? Dude, that's a winner right there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a damn what you have to say.
Yeah.
That's a winner right there. That's not somebody like, I can't believe she went and got herself nachos. That's okay, I need to put a ring on this because this is a builder. This is somebody I can work with. She's not only looking out for me. I can't tell you, I won't even say most, but I can think of at least several women on my hand right now, right off the top of my head, that would have lost their mind if you take them out for 10 minutes and you don't pull into a restaurant slot. And for him to take her on a road trip and not have nothing in the car, you're not trying to feed her at all. Was she just supposed to be hungry? Like, what are we doing?
Everyone knows if you ask your partner, hey, are you hungry? If you're going out for food, if you come back and you don't have food for me, then I'm eating half of what you got yourself.
Right.
So
Yep.
it doesn't matter what I say, right?
You know I'm on a diet and you come back with
Yeah. Daughter of Jay, I would like to see the 17-year-old other woman do an interview.
Yes. Come out wherever you are.
Her and Robyn's ex-husband. That would be all tea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scarlett. Lisa says, thank you guys for all the time you put into these. Makes my day. That's so sweet.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. Janelle approved that car because sometimes you got to throw them a bone. Yep. She was running the show at the time covertly and didn't want to hear him whine. It was funny to me, Janelle, in this episode saying she was really hard selling Robyn coming into the family by saying she got a spiritual witness. She felt like the family wasn't complete. And then Christine's over there across the couch going, you guys are crazy.
Yeah.
This was great how it was. But,
Well, my spiritual witness said the opposite. So
Yeah.
whose spiritual witness do we trust if they're the reverse of
if
each
we're
other's
having
spiritual
competing
witness?
spiritual
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, something we learn in this episode is about Christine's fear of toasters.
Yes.
And did
That
you
was
know that apparently over 200 people die by toaster each year? Is that an accurate statistic?
There's no way. There's no way.
The 3 by shark attack, I believe. But like
Right.
over 200 by toaster?
Okay, well, Google does now say that 300 people are killed each year as a result of toasters.
Do you guys remember that show, 1,000 Ways to Die or whatever?
Yes.
And that show was so messed up because that was like real stories of how people died. And it was like the dumbest things that people do. And so I don't know. It's like, were these all toaster stories? Like, Was it user error? What was happening? I have so many questions.
Well, apparently it's not safe to cook them in the oven either, because she almost burned the house down, cook them in the oven. So you might as well add the toaster.
Dying. Logan was like, I think that this is a bigger fire hazard than the toaster.
Right. And even when Peyton said it, he said, "Mom, you burned the toast again." Like, so apparently this is a normal occurrence.
Yeah, somebody in the chat said that it was endearing. I agree. It really is one of those early, like, I mean, I knew it was coming. I don't know that I knew it was in the pilot, but I just knew at some point we were going to rewatch this like toaster thing. I mean, they referenced it this season. Her sister sent her a toaster oven.
Yes.
And I still like laughed my butt off. I was just like, Christine is crazy. She's crazy. And it was endearing. It's one of the first things that is like, oh, Christine's she's a little oddball.
But on a real note, like if you peel back the layers, the amount of fear that Christine lived in her whole life, and they somewhere in that house is a whole room of food storage because they're all preparing for the end of the world. And in season 18, Christine said, "I've decided that I'm not living in fear anymore." So I think that was one of the reasons why she accepted the toaster from her sister. And it's so silly, but it's indicative of just this culture of fear that the kids were brought up in, that the wives are living in. Cody gets to, flounce about all he wants, but
no, and it also when they really emphasize, and maybe they're doing it like to be dramatic for the pilot, but Gwendolyn, 8-year-old, who is like no idea what's going on. You can't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
The secret new wife mommy you're getting. Keep it shut. Keep it secret. Yeah. Very, very much a fear-driven way to live.
And then Gwen's like, all right, okay, yeah, got it, yeah.
Yeah.
Gwen went to school. Gwen was at school the next day telling everybody.
They go to school with all polygamists. Who are they going to tell? Who's going to care?
True. What do you think that education was like? Because all the kids turned out really well, so it must not have been like that bad, right? Or
because they said that they were homeschooling.
Right? Yeah, James. They go from homeschool to polygamous school and then to public school. So public school must have been wild for them.
We can make friends.
Yeah. Lisa says Sarah's the reason why I got hooked on Sister Wives. Oh, thanks, Lisa. Luna, wasn't there a connection between Robyn and the Keep Sweet cult? There are so many overlapping names. Christine's Aunt Kristen. I think she is somehow associated with the FLDS as well. And there's much overlap, like the last name Jessup, the last name Allred. All of these are names that you see again and again and again. Very populous families. Christy says Christine had to work nights pregnant, not Robyn. Yeah, couldn't even get someone to come put her kids to bed. I'll never get over that. Melly says, no doubt the older kids were even judging the constant road trips as well. Love you. We love you, Melly. And Cody was bringing kids with him to watch Robyn's kids. Leaving pregnant Christine while Janelle's working nights. I think Mary was working as well. So Christine has to hold it down for at least 10 of the kids while he takes a couple with him to go babysit Robyn's kids.
Right, so he can go play. And that's kind of the disrespectful nature of the entire thing. Is that, like I said, it's an opportunity. Really, it was an opportunity for Robyn to demonstrate her mettle as far as trying to solidify the family. And just being honest, like, okay, well, I mean, it's great if you can have somebody come and watch the kids so we could go out and enjoy each other's time together. But at the same time, we have to be mindful about your situation at home. And wouldn't it have been something if Robyn would have said, you know what, why don't we come down there to you guys? And that way we can hang out with the entire family. And as we're blending these families together, they have an opportunity to hang out with one another and spend time with each other. And then the two of us can go out while the kids are getting to know and play with each other, their future siblings. That to me would make more sense as opposed to you going out 5 hours away and keeping it separate. There is a point that Amanda brought up a little while ago, and I think I wanted to touch on just to kind of circle back with regard to keeping the wives separate or how the relationship would have formed or formulated once, Robyn came into the family. There's a part of me that thinks Cody likes the idea of keeping Robyn separate and apart from these other ladies because they have a certain view of Cody where they see Cody as they've seen Cody in his most vulnerable sense where he doesn't have the money, he doesn't have the cash, he's coming up short and they're struggling together. Whereas Robyn has more of the hero sense of Cody where he comes in and all of a sudden she doesn't have to work, he's providing all this extra money, he's taking care of her life and lifestyle, and he's doing all these things for her. So she has a view of Cody that makes him a hero instead of a husband. And I think that that's where he is. He would rather be a hero than a husband. And Robyn gives him that fantasy. So I can see a world where he wouldn't want them all getting along and Robyn wanting to make sure that she's ingrained in the family because she too might say, you know what, Cody, you don't walk on water. You're not an amazing, wonderful man. You're a good guy, but you're not, from up top. You walk amongst the rest of us. Mm-hmm. And he might not like that. So I think that's part of the issue.
No, you're totally right, James. He definitely sees himself as that, and Robyn reinforces it. And we know this because in later seasons, when he is talking about the Duggars, and he's talking about, or not the Duggars, sorry, the Dargers.
Darger.
Yeah, that's what it is. I get it mixed up. He's talking about the big Sister Wives family, not the one with their own show. He's like, oh, wow. And Joe Darger ends up like taking on his wife's twin. And Cody says like, oh, she must view him as such a hero. And, the way that he took on this woman, who has been married before. So he sees himself as that, like, oh, he took Robyn on. He's a hero. He's rescuing her. She had this horrible man before. And you're totally right, James. When he goes back to the OG3, he's like, oh, it's like kind of different. Like they know all the stuff, they don't see me quite the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, there's an excellent point that you just made with even the Darger episode, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But in that particular episode, the wives were talking about how much they admired Joe. And like the OG3 and even Robyn were talking about how much they admired Joe and how he was such a force of nature and he controlled the family. And Cody is just everywhere and he doesn't have control of anything. And he's the complete package. And then as Cody is looking at the wives, he's saying, wow, these wives are super hot. And they even the OG3 were talking about how physically attractive Joe Darger's wives were supposed to be and how they all must work out because apparently Joe Darger has like speaking of misogyny, he has a routine where these women all have to go to the gym for a certain amount of time each day. Yeah. And they talking about it during that episode. I'm like, y'all taking no shorts when it comes to just putting all the misogyny out there. Just, my wives have to look a certain way in order for them to stay in the house. Like, what? What are you talking about? So
I guess Christine should feel lucky she wasn't sleeping out back in the barn dominium or anything.
Right. You got 20 minutes on that treadmill.
K&R, the master of chopping down family trees. Ayo. Right. Christy says he used these three women for their bodies and youth and for kids, then acts like it was nothing. That is the definition of not a good person. Disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I agree. Deanna says, I don't think Robyn would have ever lived in one house. I don't either. Christine saved her from having to say how she really felt. I completely agree, Deanna. I think Janelle, I think, was okay because, again, I don't think Janelle really Janelle is not bothered. Teflon, honestly, not the most inaccurate description of her personality. She doesn't let a lot of stuff bother her. But yeah, Robyn was never gonna live in one house.
No. But actually, Janelle had offered. That's what I was saying earlier. Like Janelle had offered Robyn and her kids to move in half of her house. Like she was going to cut her section down in half and let Robyn move into her part of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And Robyn was like, "No, I can't," because at that moment she wasn't officially married, so she was like, "I can't move into a house with a married man. That would not be appropriate. It's not appropriate for you to move in with a guy, but you got to do coming out to your house every weekend and spending a weekend at your house."
Yeah.
Like I'm not old fashioned at all. But I mean, I know the rules, and I know you're not supposed to be. He should be in a hotel. You know what I mean? Like if he comes down, like forget the couch. He shouldn't even be staying in your house. But whatever. Okay, whatever.
Robyn picks and chooses.
Right.
Question: with all of the insults Cody is passing out to the OG3, have they insulted him or told stories about him that are negative? All I have seen is, Christine trash talking him was her talking to her kids. Then no, this is what we see on camera about how she's nervous about dating because she might be a bad kisser. And McKelty was like, "Oh, I think you'll be fine." And Cody was like, "How dare you, McKelty?"
right. I got two on that. First one, where did they tell negative stories about Cody? What they did was they told stories about Cody. And if those stories happen to be negative because he was acting negatively, then that is what it is. Like, you know what I mean? If they just tell a story about something you did and you don't like the fact that you look bad in that story, maybe you should check yourself and your behavior and how you were treating these ladies during that time. The second thing, when it comes down to like the whole story stuff, let's be honest, Christine, anytime you have a relationship in this type of relationship and you break apart, people gonna talk crap about you. Like it is what it is. Like when you break up, she gonna say some negative things about Cody, probably. But yeah. Cody's responsibility to make sure that he's present and around for his kids so that when she does say negative things about you, your kids have an independent relationship with you. So the negative stories don't really affect your relationship with your children. If you're not around and you're not taking the opportunity to spend time with your kids and that's all they're hearing, then you have to take some of that responsibility on your shoulders as well. Spend time with in short, spend time with your damn kids. Go over and check them out. Call them up on the phone. They're adults now. Go over to their houses, sit on the couch with them and, hey, how's your day? How are things going? Are you still with Susan? Anything, but at least show some interest in them. You know what I mean?
We saw in season 17 or 16, I forget, when they're talking on Coyote Pass and Gabe is they're talking about quarantining and Cody doesn't even know who Gabe's girlfriend is.
Yeah, 16. Yeah.
Never met her.
He's checked out at that point. Yeah. He is only involved in Robyn's kids. And that's it. Yeah.
And that's also the episode where Gabe, not to cut Emma off, but Emma, that's also the episode where Gabe was crying because he couldn't spend time with his father. Like and like I said, watching Gabe when he was a kid back in season 1 and the first season to him now, and watching his heart break because his father won't spend time with him.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Stop blaming Janelle because she's not talking to your teenage kids after you told her don't talk to your teenage kids about you. Stop blaming her. Yeah. These kids today would accept your phone calls if you took time to actually spend time with them.
Yes.
It's your fault.
Yep. Emma says they begin the show with Cody being the center of the Brown family mosh pit. Then at the cul-de-sac, he's on the outside of the mosh pit. And we end with the recent mosh pit surrounding Christine. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, right.
Yep. James, you mentioned that last week, how the show has sort of come full turn a little bit. In that way.
And it ended how it started. Like this would actually be a good place for them to end the entire series and then move on to the offshoots, because where they are now, they're essentially like, even with the wedding special, Cody is merely doing commentary on stuff that he's heard about Christine. I could have did Cody's part. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They have
seriously.
nothing. Cody and
Right.
Robyn have nothing. Like,
No.
what are they contributing? Nothing. Just nothing. Like,
And if
what are
they're
they
not
doing?
gonna show us their day-to-day lives, then yeah, I'm not interested. It's not authentic. I don't believe anything that they're trying to sell me, and I just
Well, you know, I heard a while ago, because even kind of going back to the whole idea that Cody thinks he has more power in the show than even he actually has. But I heard, I don't know whether I heard this, I thought this is where I got this from, but I'll give credit to somebody else. It's my understanding from watching how he acts on the show that with the access that they have in Robyn's house, the access they have to Robyn's kids and Robyn and Cody's life and how they interact with each other, I think that they're trying to use that as a lever to say that they need their own show, and they refuse to let them have access to the house or to the kids or to what's going on between them until they get their own show to tell that story. Because it makes no sense. The entire thing that they've been doing for the last few seasons, not last one or two, but the last few seasons, has been them commenting on other wives and other situations, but they don't let anybody talk about their life or what's happening with their kids. We don't know how Dana, I think, is in Masters. He just graduated his Master's program. We didn't see that. We didn't see Aurora or Brianna graduate from high school. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't see any of the things that would help us to shape or understand what's happening in their life. Bless you, Amanda. You know, so I think that is the leverage point that they're trying to use to get their own show.
absolutely see that. I can absolutely see that. We have a few more super chats and then we will wrap up. This is so much fun. I'm
Right.
reinvigorated.
Yeah, I was really excited for this.
Yeah.
Like, I was surprised at how excited I was to talk because I have never talked about these early episodes with anyone.
Yeah, and it's like I will go back and watch certain scenes to pull clips for if I'm thinking of a topic, but like to actually watch the episode as a whole, I'm so excited, especially because there are like juicy bits to come that we
Right.
know, and I'm so excited. Aunt Mitty, cool profile
Yeah.
picture. Thank you so much. Jennifer, thank you. Thank you guys always for your support. Just before we get to the last two super chats, there are over 2,100 of you watching on all three of our channels. That is
All
so awesome. We are officially in between seasons and we are still going strong. Can't stop, won't stop.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Lori, I just wanted to send a huge let me redo that. I just wanted to send a huge thank you to the three of you for keeping this going. Love listening to each of you individually and together. I think we're just the right spice mix of life.
Right.
Come together and it's just a good time. And last but certainly not least, Kika Lika, one of the biggest supporters. How about the OG each having a family budget and Cody also having a share? No wonder Robyn didn't have a single bill after meeting him. Very good point. And yet, Robyn doesn't want to be considered just an appendage of Cody. She wants to, be her own independent. So she wants 50 of Cody's and then also a fourth of or a fifth of the big pie as well.
Yeah, she wants her full share. In other words, I want my full share plus half of his. But I don't want no handouts. One of the funny things, just real quick, one of the funny things is Janelle had said earlier when she was talking about this OG3 and their family life together with Cody, she had said everybody has to work in order for us to make this work out and for everything to function properly. Everybody has to work. The problem is Robyn came in and she never worked, and then we'll get into like season episode 2 and 3 where they start talking about she has to bring value. She's looking for a job. I know she needs to look for a job. Apparently, she's been looking for a job for 18 seasons that hasn't found one yet.
James, I'll piggyback on that because the last note I took was Christine saying at the end of the episode, she just has to be absolutely amazing. And I wrote, narrator, she wasn't.
A few
she was
years
not.
later.
She's still looking for them applications.
All right, everybody, have a wonderful evening. We will all see you respectively in our next videos, and we will see you back here wherever you're watching us from. Same time,
Right.
same place, and season 1, episode 2. Have a good evening. Bye.
Goodbye.
All right.